Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Sunless Skies, where we are venturing out here from Langley Hall. Hopefully, a thing that we can actually get away with doing. We just have to find our way around a little bit more. We have a lot more traveling to do. It's going to be a little while before we can get new prospects from Pan. I don't remember exactly what the date was, but it definitely hasn't been a month. So here's another one of those big storms. So I thought all of the big storms... Oh, this might just be like a peacock wind. I thought we were seeing the edge of a big circular storm. But apparently those big circular storms are not all wells. I thought they were. That is clearly not the case. The wells are something a little bit different and more special. You enter Libertas, a field of freedom and gloom. It does seem gloomy here. Maybe we're on the edge of a really big storm? Alright, well I do wish the scout would tend to find things that are more in the direction we're going, and also apparently I missed something mineable. Let's head down like that. It's probably just some bronzewood, but bronzewood you get for free is a lot more valuable to you than bronzewood that you have to pay 135 sovereigns for, right? I will say I'm a little worried, like, what are all of these roots the roots of? We certainly haven't seen anything... Ah, the wind is pushing us downward a little more than I would like. See, this guy right here, he is stuck. He is stuck in there. It's actually pretty good for us, because I bet we can arc our new weapon in there. That might be a little tricky. Okay. There was some text there about inflaming of appetites that I probably ought to have read, but instead, I didn't, so here we are. Let's see if we can just get past him. It looks like he's not going to be able to chase us or anything. Okay. Alright, we just got to fight the wind a little bit. If this is the edge of a circular storm, it must have a circumference of roughly that, so probably it's not. Probably it's just wind. Yeah, it seems like we can get to the other side of it here. Hello, another wrecked locomotive. The wreck of the Behringer. A gleaming hulk in the dark. A wreck of a type you've never seen before. A vast wreck larger than any other locomotive you've seen. Armor rattles in the wind. An Albion flag flies, tattered almost beyond recognition. The hull is cracked like an egg. A charred and tangled engine exposed to the air. The Behringer reads the nameplate, although some wag has appended a question mark. As you approach, you see figures scrambling behind guardrails, revolutionary slogans graffitied across every rusted surface. The Behringer is still very much occupied. Well, seems like these people maybe could use a little bit of help. A dozen figures in heavy coats hang from the side of the wreck, waving joyously as your engine docks. This would be a bad place to get stuck. That engine, or that huge wind is definitely going to have warded off other rescue crews. You step into the Behringer's halls, to a swelling crowd and a babble of cheery greetings. Everyone is wearing a mask. Crowd parts. A woman glides to your side. Her scarlet leather jacket gleams with buckles and vestigial straps. Oh no, she was designed by Rob Liefeld. Her face is hidden behind a mask in the shape of a screeching bat's face. Glad to have you aboard, says the unassailable founder, shaking your hand. The unassailable founder's bat mask is impassive. She gestures to the wall of masks behind her. Choose. Before you don a mask, you have questions. Who is she? How did the Behringer end up out here? Okay, I was worried that this was going to cost us our captivating treasure, which, you know what, I'm not even sure, do we have that? We might have spent that when the archivist... Excuse me. We might have spent that when the archivist finished writing the Song of the Sky. I can't remember exactly what we lost. Alright, let's ask a question before we pick a mask. Who are you? Why is the Behringer out here? What is happening? How did a London dreadnought end up wrecked in Eleutheria, crowded with devotees of the liberation of night? Is that what this is supposed to be, a dreadnought? It seems an awful lot bigger than a dreadnought. The founder waves a gloved finger disapprovingly. I can't go prattling my secrets to just anyone, can I? Join our community, put your trust in us, and I'll extend some trust in return. Alright, weird. So we could choose the Mask of the Aspirant, which will give us the opportunity to listen to lectures. A mask that will give us the opportunity to deliver lectures. The opportunity to conduct experiments, to debate. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Debate is hearts, maybe? Listen to lectures is mirrors. Conduct experiments could be iron. Deliver lectures could be veils. I mean, provided they're, mostly false lectures. Or maybe... I'm just thinking, hearts is the skill of convincing people of things, right? So that could be deliver lectures or debate. And then veils is probably the other one. Veils being the skill of misleading people suggests that either we're delivering some pretty bad lectures or we're using debate in the modern YouTube sense of the word. Let's take the Mask of the Aspirant. I think we could be here to listen. And again, Sister Patel likes to hang back and figure out what's going on, right? A sculpted silver rose, blank, eyeless, mouthless. Eyeless, huh? Seems like we want to have eyes. I do want to listen, though. Alright, let's try this. The Mask of the Aspirant. As the mask slips over your face, you realize that it is ingeniously designed so that you can see perfectly between the folds of the silver petals. The aspirant's role is to absorb, says the founder. Go to the library and read a book, or go to the forum and enjoy yourself. Stay quiet. Grow. The Behringer's rusting innards have been hollowed. The walls and floors of a dozen interlocking corridors have been methodically stripped away, carving a vast hive-like atrium draped with ladders and crisscrossed with rope bridges. Anarchists bustle back and forth between a circle of iron doors below. The largest are labeled Laboratories, Forum, and Hall of Debate. Your fellow aspirants are, by far, the most common among the masked figures. Dozens of silver-faced anarchists mill back and forth between the libraries and the forum, silent except for the occasional polite cough. Well, I guess let's head to the forum, then. I was kind of interested in going to the library. She said go to the... Yeah, she said there's a library. We'll start with the forum. A stream of aspirants, supplicants, and recalcitrants are barreling through the double doors. The forum greets you with a cacophony of competing voices and the acrid stench of gunpowder. This was once the Dreadnought's vast storage room, and now munitions crates have been stacked and shoved together to create a semicircle of stages. Hopefully no one lights a cigarette, or jostles them. The stages are occupied by supplicants, voices raised. We're not here to talk, we're here to listen. Then again, Sister Patel does have a healthy disregard for the rules. Let's start by listening. Best to know exactly how much trouble you'll get in by breaking a rule before you go breaking it. You flit between supplicants. One is tripping over his words, another reaching her conclusion. Finally, you find a speaker whose words are intriguing. The first lecture to catch your attention is being boomed across the forum by a tall, grotesquely muscular man with a beard that explodes from beneath his mask. His face is both extremely loud and mesmerizing in its sing-song cadence. I hope someday that somebody describes my face as exploding. The other lecture you notice is being delivered by a compact woman of unmistakably military bearing, with one leg that appears to have been replaced below the knee by a fire poker. She is talking about something called the binary. A team of recalcitrants are trying but failing to shout her down. Okay, that's interesting to me. This will gain us a savage secret, which is something that we definitely value at the moment. We don't know what the muscular man's lecture will get us. I'm curious. I'm curious about the commotion. Beneath the cries of her detractors, you only manage to catch snatches of the supplicant's lecture. Apparently, when the halved had a twin, it was collectively called the binary. The supplicant speaks of devils in the binary's service, responsible for preparing a raiment of killing light for one of their masters before he went to war, and a mantle of merciful radiances when the other went to parley. Hey, we're familiar with this story. But they betrayed their master, she says. Amid a fresh chorus of shouting, she begins to talk about a doomed peace conference, a peace with who you couldn't catch. Before she can say much further, recalcitrants storm the stage and drag her away. Some truths are too dangerous even for denizens of the Behringer. By listening to a lecture, you have shown the founder that you can be an aspirant. Perhaps now she will tell us more about herself. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. Can I listen to the other lecture? Nope, I can just leave. Or I could tell a story and maybe get in trouble here. Let's obey the rules for now, while looking for opportunities to gain by breaking them. The founder lingers in the Behringer's central atrium, hands in the pockets of her leather jacket, chatting to everyone who passes. She combines an encyclopedic knowledge of everyone's names and habits with the uncanny ability to recognize them despite their mask. Questions? Complaints? She asks, turning to you. Or simply here to take a new role? What is this image? Is it a smoking... Like, are these the end of gun barrels? I can't quite tell what this is. Maybe I'm sitting too far from the screen here. Let's ask why her mask is so different. What about the shrieking bat? Why do you have a shrieking bat on your head? The founder laughs. My father was a diplomat for London. In my formative years, we were stationed on an island called Visage, far out to sea. The locals' lives revolved around the mask they wore. We chose our faces for ourselves. I was keen to implement something similar here. She adjusts her bat mask. This represented the worst of outsiders, the exile who brought nothing but misfortune and death. After I turned traitor and left the Admiralty, it seemed an appropriate statement. This is a thing where I bet if I had played Sunless Skies all the way through, this would be, like, really meaningful to me. Ah, well. Okay, let's try the Mask of the Supplicant. I'm curious. The supplicant's job is to talk, says the founder, fastening the mask of a hideously toothed anglerfish over your face. And, perhaps, entice. This is definitely a thing that would have been a more natural fit for the archivist. A miniature lantern dangles from your new mask, swinging back and forth between your eyes. The supplicant gives speeches in the forum, says the founder. Thanks to that mask, a person's reputation or lack thereof doesn't matter here. Just stand and talk, and if you're saying something worthwhile, perhaps you'll attract an audience. Yeah, I mean, I kind of hear what you're saying, but you can still definitely hear people's voices, and... She means well, but that's not necessarily enough. Well, alright. We could tell a story from our travels. It's not precisely a lecture, but as a supplicant, you can speak about whatever you wish. Or we could deliver a lecture on the extinguishments. Out in the furious emptiness, there are places that have never known light or heat. We did see one of these. Am I allowed to do this? Oh no, okay. I'm allowed to do this because we have mysteries, not because we got close to one. That is a pretty harsh cost. We need to have some Eleutherian mysteries. I guess the hull's in fine shape. Maybe we don't need to be worried about stockpiling these. They don't seem that hard to come by, and we get them for turning in our port reports. Yeah, I think we could do this. I do want to tell a story from our travels first, though. I'm curious what'll happen. Hold on. You may deliver a lecture today. If it does end up being the case that we can only do one, we definitely want to do the one that has the harsher cost, right? Probably there is a greater reward from this. That's a little outside of the game thinking there, but probably it's still correct. Your approach is academic, your tone matter-of-fact, but the aspirants listen as though to a ghost story. There are places of darkness in Eleutheria, you tell them, a darkness so total it devours even the memory of light. Your audience whispers and swells. What does such emptiness conceal? Unlit trains that plunged into the darkness hoping to commit crimes beyond the sight of any god. Disgraced servitors, hiding for millennia from otherwise omniscient masters. At the end of your lecture, your audience are too subdued to ask questions. The specters of an extinguishment seem to hang in the air above you, fascinating and repellent in equal measure. Okay, we've earned the respect of the unassailable founder for our extremely excellent lecture, and we traded 3 Eleutherian mysteries for a vision and... okay, a reasonable amount of terror reduction. Okay, so we could deliver lectures on other things if we had done some other things. Well, let's go talk to her again. Maybe we can get a little bit more story here. Hey, how did you end up in Eleutheria? It's clearly a huge and impressive locomotive of Albion origin. Why is this thing stranded here? The Behringer was a dreadnought developed in secret to guard against star madness, says the founder. On its maiden voyage, I stole it. It was easy enough. I was the admiral placed in charge of the bloody thing. She snorts. While we patrolled a quiet corner of Albion, I convinced my crew of the merits of the liberation. After a mostly bloodless mutiny, we embarked on a pilgrimage to Eleutheria. We planned to pledge ourselves to the service of the Halved. Her mouth tightens. It didn't work out. Man, I'm really glad that we had that experience at the well. It's making it so much easier to understand what everybody's talking about. Okay, the Mask of the Scintillant is probably... clearly I was wrong. These things do not cleanly line up with stats. I thought I had glimpsed a bit of system through the text here. But yeah, I guess we just try everything out, right? Let's switch to the Mask of the Scintillant. A woman's face wreathed in glorious flames. The Scintillant learns through experimentation, says the founder, putting aside concern for the safety of others or themselves. That sounds a little bit like Sister Patel, except for that safety of themselves thing. The flames on the mask are orange-yellow tissue which rustles as you move your head. The Scintillant's purpose is to visit the laboratories and take part in the experiments, says the founder, clapping you on the back. Good luck. Last time I went to the laboratories, I lost a finger. Well, let's try to be a little bit more careful than that. A crude orange mask symbol has been painted above the door. Next to it, someone has scrawled, "Danger! Science occurs within." The Liberation have kept most of the Behringer's laboratories intact. Every functioning laboratory has a sign-up sheet tacked to its door, begging for volunteers. Scintillants flit back and forth carrying clipboards, calipers, vapor-spewing flasks. There is no shortage of work to be done, and few brave enough to do it. Well, we could take part in an experiment as a guinea pig. It turns out our iron gives us a pretty good chance of nailing it. We could try to gain a vision of the heavens, and on success, potentially get some more respect. We could conduct our own experiment. You're going to have a hard time talking people into participating, though. Or we could experiment on our crew. We should probably stop losing crew for the moment. Let's try to be a guinea pig. Here, drink this. It's perfectly safe. A scintillant presses a fizzing tube into your hands, then immediately runs for cover. You examine the liquid. Smell alone could strip the skin from a cat. Nevertheless, you drink. How odd, says the scintillant after a lengthy pause. I thought... Colors unfold from his open mouth like a kaleidoscopic chrysanthemum. For the next few days you wander in a landscape of spirals and fireworks. When you recover, you find yourself in bed, sweat-soaked, your ears still ringing. It is not the date that it was. By spearheading a successful experiment, you have shown the founder your worth as a scintillant. I am really nailing this fitting in with the mask thing. Fitting in with whatever mask you're wearing. That's a pretty good metaphor for the way Sister Patel might approach situations. Alright, it's been a couple of days since we last spoke. Maybe she'll listen to us again. She has a mark on her neck. The founder's hand automatically moves to cover it up. For a moment, you could have sworn it was an eye nestled between neck and collarbone. Before we reached the wilderness, I was an admiral in London's fleet. While patrolling the Untersee, we came across something under the water. A scar or an eye or something. I dived to investigate. I still don't understand what happened down there, but I met something far greater than myself, and I came back with this. Do you think... I wonder if the archivist would have written about the experience with the God Fluke. Or the what was that called? Was it the God Fluke? The Scorn Fluke. Because that was pretty important, but that was right about the part where the archivist was deciding that he had seen too much and that he was tired of the sky, that it was, his curiosity was curdling into something else. So I wonder if that's something he would have left out? Then again, if the whole point of the last canto was to discourage people from following in his footsteps, maybe that would be a really good example of why you should not follow in his footsteps. So maybe we have heard that story, and this certainly sounds like a similar thing. Years later, in the wilderness, I took charge of London's greatest dreadnought, still in early experimental stages. That's when the eye opened. At that moment I knew, deep in my bones, that I had to seek out Eleutheria. Ha. That's very curious. I mean, Eleutheria was here long before London came to the sky. We know that. But something in the Untersee linked to Eleutheria in some way. I guess I still really don't know much about, like, the whole Fallen London period. Maybe it is worth playing through Sunless Skies some more. Alright, well, we really only have one piece of respect to gain. So, let's try a snarling face halfway between Bulldog and Gargoyle. A difficult role, cautions the founder. A squabbler, recommended for those who've spent time as an aspirant. The mask is oddly uncomfortable, digging into your skin, cutting off the blood to your ears. You peer out through a wall of gruesome fangs. Go to the forum or the debating halls and raise hell, says the founder. Ask impertinent questions. Hit close to home. The mask allows you to speak loudly and truthfully, without losing friends. 'Cause you don't have any, probably. Okay, so we've been to the forum. We have not been into the hall of debate. Recalcitrants barge in like ants invading a rival nest. Some wit has painted over the door, "Abandon the slippery slope, all ye who enter here." The slippery slope is such an interesting thing, because you hear people all the time arguing that we shouldn't do a thing because it's a slippery slope, seemingly without realizing that that idea, the slippery slope, is the name of the logical fallacy. Like, whenever you say, oh, it's a slippery slope, though, you're almost certainly committing an argument that is, like, invalid by construction. It's weird to me that people don't know that, or that they're okay with invoking it on themselves. We haven't seen in the Hall of Debate. Boy, if this is a heart-space thing, we're going to be real bad at it. Let's head to the forum and shout down some people who are not trying to shout back at us. Maybe that will be easier. Nope, in fact, I do not have the ability to gain any respect here. Never mind. Into the Hall of Debate we go. The Hall of Debate was once the Dreadnought's gun deck. A row of gargantuan cannons still point out at empty sky. Recalcitrants swarm under the artillery, shouting, stamping, roaring. The main debates take place on a raised platform. Would-be rhetoricians take center stage, declare their argument, and await challengers. 3 recalcitrants state their position. Which will you dispute? That the liberation of night is justified, that the Behringer is a waste of time and should be destroyed, or that morality is a social construct that collapses without the fear of punishment. Ooh, well, I certainly have some feelings about that one. This is a hearts roll. Seems unlikely that we would succeed on it. These are... Okay, this one is the easiest to fight. This recalcitrant clearly hopes to deal only in abstract philosophical matters. The audience won't have a personal stake in the outcome. And any successful debate will earn us the respect of the founder. Maybe we go for this one? The liberation of night is justified. An uncontroversial position, at least aboard the Behringer. If you challenge this, the audience won't be on your side. If we challenge this one, the audience would be on our side, but it's still not super likely to work. Here's a question. Well, I was about to ask, like, does Sister Patel actually disagree with this idea? But I suppose it doesn't much matter. she certainly would not only be willing to debate a point if she actually disagreed with it, right? That's not how she rolls. So yeah, let's go for what looks like it'll be the easiest win. That right there is how Sister Patel rolls. Consider Plato's Ring of Gyges, maybe? Declares your opponent. If there were no consequences, no one alive could resist the power to enrich themselves at the expense of others. You offer a counter. Perhaps the majority would succumb, but there are some to whom their self-image matters more than their mask. After a raucous back and forth, she concedes defeat, and the surrounding recalcitrants roar. Someone presses a coin purse into your hand. A bounty, he says. We've been trying to best her for weeks. By changing someone else's mind, or changing your own, you have shown the founder that you make a respectable recalcitrant. Perhaps now she will tell you more about herself. I feel like if this is all it takes, pretty much everyone here should know all about her by now, right? How long have these people been stuck here? Alright, ask how she recognizes everyone despite their masks. This is going to be some Batman shit right here. I grew up on Visage, says the founder. I don't need a face. I can hear your voice, see the curve of your back, the way you walk. I can recognize a member of this community just by the pattern of acne on the back of their neck. It's not so much a Batman thing as a Bane thing, I guess. When I was first establishing the community here, I quickly learned that true anonymity can turn people into monsters. She raises her hand in cheery greeting as an aspirant wanders past. Hello, Ronald. You see, the fact that I know who they are keeps the community honest. It's good to remind them occasionally. Yeah, I'm definitely coming around to this view that true anonymity turns people into monsters, or maybe it just allows people to expose the monster they already are inside, and so it's not such a bad thing for people who aren't monsters. But then I also definitely believe that everyone is born a monster. You can find your way out, though, if you want to. Alright, I'm a well-established part of the community now, and I've heard rumors. What aren't you telling me? The founder beckons. You follow her to the Behringer's charred engine room. Freezing winds swirl through the crack in the hull. After I stole this dreadnought from the Empire, I went to the Halved to pledge my allegiance. She pauses. But the Halved would not accept me. I was devastated. I turned the Behringer into a hub of discussion, hoping that one day we would come to a consensus that could guide me. This is no wreck. She rubs at the charred boiler with a gloved finger, smudging black dust away to reveal gleaming iron beneath. That's all illusion. The hull can be fixed in a day. The rust was applied by paintbrush. The Behringer is ready for war, as soon as I decide war is more important than debate. Oh, well, that seems like it could be useful to us. We gained ourselves a Crimson Promise and 3 Savage Secrets. I do not remember how many we needed. I think we need 3 Savage Secrets to advance the plotline with our aunt? And then, was it also 3 to move forward our ambition? I don't remember. We'll definitely advance our crew plotline first here. So, do we have anything else to do? We could swap stories with the unassailable founder. She greets you with a hand clasped warmly on your shoulder. What does this actually do? Oh, okay. You follow the founder through a nearby hatch. She leads you up to a cubbyhole where the habitual din of the Behringer is muted, and 2 battle-scarred armchairs await you. Between them, a well-stocked drinks cabinet. The 2 of you sit and chat long into the evening. You tell her about patches of darkness, wefts of time, brushes with monsters and madness. She shares hair-raising tales of her perilous escape to Eleutheria, and rumors about some of the more outrageous vagabonds and oddballs who have recently passed through the Behringer. Okay, so I'm assuming this is something we can only do every once in a while, but this is a way of gaining some stuff and dumping terror, in case we happen to be in the area. That's interesting. I bet at some point we'll be able to talk her into using the Behringer for something, but we probably lack whatever piece of information would be necessary to motivate her. For now, perhaps we're done. I think we're probably done. An interesting train you have here. Your crew express a measure of relief at leaving behind the Behringer's babble, its crowds, its ceaseless bustle. not to mention that riotous smell of rust and sweat and gunpowder. As the unremittent darkness swallows your train again, the crew's relief turns to dismay. Maybe the Behringer wasn't so bad, they say. Maybe you could just turn around. Yeah, they forgot what it was like everywhere else. Hey, we were only there for a couple of days, right? And then I immediately slam into it. Okay. Officer. Yes, it was 3 secrets to do this. Well, I think we probably ought to. The secrets of St. Dunstan's rendezvous are locked behind a nigh impenetrable cipher. Piles of pages are strewn across her cabin. I've been impersonating February in some correspondence to get more information, your aunt says in explanation. It's not like she's going to object. You know, I don't know that we knew for sure that she was poisoned, like, dead. But I guess this confirms that pretty clearly. It could have just been a poison that, you know, knocked her out temporarily. We've been disabused of that notion. Working together, you discover the key to the cipher. Various calendars, from the Roman to the Revolutionary. From the documents, you learn that February knew that the final design for the bomb was held by Her Majesty's Privy Councillor. He died and is now interred in the Most Serene Mausoleum. If we could find those designs, we'd know for certain what our government agreed to, your aunt says. Okay, well, I guess this is a good reason to go back to Albion. Something that we will consider a little bit more later, because we have places to be. I'm still getting kind of blown sideways by that wind, by the way. Huh, there's something terrifying down there. Well, you know what? We got a lot of fuel and supplies, and our terror is relatively low. Let's go have a look before we leave. I am curious. Yeah, we're still drifting pretty badly. Oh, it's just one of these. Okay, picked up a tale of terror by getting close enough to it. I don't actually want to get any closer. Also, how did they need me to tell them about an extinguishment when there's one... Like, it's almost as far away as the interaction distance of this train. They could just look out there and see it, wouldn't you think? I think, by the way, that was about as close as I'm willing to get to one of those. I mean, when we told the story about the extinguishments, we spoke of people hiding within them. That would not be a thing to do if you couldn't get back out, right? So maybe I'm being a little too cautious about those. Then again, did I actually know that? Or was that story true? Alright, what have we over here? A splinter of a lost library holding tattered manuscripts. Got some fragments of lost lore. And the cavi identified something over here. There's no way that's a dock, right? I don't think I care enough to go back. There's no way that's a dock. It's probably just going to be like a lootable. It's too close to Langley Hall to be a dock, I think. Alright, maybe you could look a little bit more in the direction we're facing. Oh, okay. That's something. I'll head that way. Oh, Dowser. Well, I guess this is an opportunity to test something, so I haven't shot him at all. Please let me... Okay, there we go. Nope. Once they've seen you, it's too late. I think we slammed him into the wall there. That probably did some damage. I'm doing a bad job here. Okay, gotta remember, do not fire the new gun when we are close to the enemy. I should probably stop overheating. It's not worth it to fire both the guns. I need to maintain my ability to dodge. For a second there, I was really hoping him slamming into that wall was going to be useful to us. Didn't really turn out that way. That was too close. Hit myself a little bit. I think we got him now, though. Alright, you know, our terror is low enough. We can afford to loot and gain a little bit. Alright, we should probably just scavenge the plating, because we're in a little bit of a situation, now that I have put us in a little bit of a situation. Ooh, partial success is bad. The lamplight flickers as your crew work. They are nervous, and with shaking hands come mistakes, and with mistakes, arguments. The ruin of the Dowser groans ominously. Is there still movement inside? You know what, guys? Come back, come back. Well, we could go over there ourselves. This is probably going to gain us extra terror. Let's call everybody back. As they clamber back aboard, you see the relief in their faces. You leave the Dowser and anything that survives in its lightless corridors to the cold sky. Okay, so we gained 5 terror. We didn't get a lot of hull, but we didn't lose any crew. I'm starting to get a little nervous about the frequency of our crew losses. Alright, so we're headed approximately this way. We know that there's a mass here, so we'll have to steer around the eastern side of it, I think. And we're not terribly far from Pan. I guess I'm presuming that we can reach it from the east. Maybe that will turn out not to be the case. No, actually we are quite far from it, aren't we? Well, we're close enough to be able to get there with 4 fuel and 4 supplies. Come on, tell me the Cavi has found us yet another dock. Would we be so lucky? Oh no, we now see that this is something grave. Another piece of library. Disquisitions written in the Pentecostal tongues of heaven. And another powerful wind. Scent of rancid meat fills your engine. Candlewind howls. Wow, that is a scary storm occurring below us there. What is that sound? I guess that's just the lightning? What a weird noise. Let's try to head back sort of more toward the middle. This is probably not a safe place to send the Cavi out. I feel bad about it immediately. Alright, he's got something over here. Maybe we should start heading back toward Pan, if only because I think we're actually kind of getting close to a month since the last prospects. So we might be able to pick up some new ones that might give us the location of new docks. Is going to be another hermit living in a cave? I think so. Wow. You really drift out here. It feels like there's less resistance, maybe? Or, again, like everything else with the train handling, maybe I'm making it all up. Okay, another one of these. Let's just observe the hermit this time. The thing is, I think we do need only one more secret. Yeah, let's head back toward Pan. We'll go ahead and do this, and then we'll head to Pan. Alright, no new nothing there. We've done some good work here. We found a lot of stuff. Apparently, I'm very good at discovering the wrecks of old trains. That's not going to reach him. I would like to kill him. Okay, he's swinging around. We can get him. Surprise! Okay. I'm going to stop overheating the engine so much. We're going to... shoot. If I had shot that a little bit better, we could have pushed him off enough that I wouldn't have been in range for the terror explosion. Look at that. Almost very good. Let's let it cool down a little bit. We can fight from a really safe distance, and I actually really like doing that. Getting a little close. Yeah, we definitely have the advantage over these guys when we're far away, and they don't have any interest in closing in on us. As though he heard me say that. It does feel like he's trying to draw up, right? Remember to use the mangonel when they get close. It's possible that I should replace the mangonel with the shotgun, given the changes in our tactics here. Alright, I think one more has got him. Well, that's not going to be it. It would have to actually be a hit. almost drove directly into the projectile on that one. Oh, when the projectiles expire, they, like, break apart into little pages. The art in this game is so good. Okay, the Hour of the Wolf. Oh, good. It is late and you are alone. Well, we're going to attempt to avoid developing a taste for the bottle. I know where that leads. Alright, let's gain scraps of ancient knowledge. We don't have quite enough to form ourselves a searing enigma yet, but we're close to another one. Yeah, I think I definitely want that more than I want the money from some bronze wood. Okay, so I'm still going to go see this, and then we're probably going from there just straight back to Pan. Because we are actually running pretty low on supplies now. That fight took longer than it probably should have. Boy, this actually is turning out to be kind of a pain to get to. Okay, just making sure that this wasn't something I could be flying over. Is this whole thing the wall of a building? Might be. Oh, this is a spooky area. Something to crave. Is this going to turn out to be another... yeah. Be another hermit in a cave. Something to cave. Well, I am absolutely not interested in trading supplies for a secret right now. We could exchange our secrets for a condemned experiment and an Eleutherian mystery. That is definitely not something we want to do. So let's just observe him. This is going to gain us terror, I'm sure. Yep, quite a bit. The hermit works their haruspicy on the dying beast, occasionally pausing to stroke its fur and close its eyes to the pain. The cave is filled with bones and rotting meat, and a smell that makes your eyes water. Amongst them is the wreckage of what appears to be a submarine. A second glance at the bones reveals that not all of them are from animals. Alright, well, another secret. That was not the thing. Ah, damn it. I'm gonna back up. Right in the face. Pretty sure that it doesn't work like that. There's no locational damage. Oh, that's the wrong dodge. I just dodged into that. Well, the good news is we can definitely afford a hull repair when we get back. This is a ridiculous combat strategy, the constant spinning, but you can't argue with the results. Okay, got ourselves an otherworldly artifact by just observing this somehow. Alright, I think we got him. We got him. And we really have to have him because I need to get back home. Disturbing to think of Pan as home. Yeah, let's exchange some scraps of ancient knowledge for a searing enigma. Whisper something of what you've gleaned from these stolen texts to the dying scrivener, and perhaps it will respond. A wooden claw hangs before you, waiting. The scrivener tolerates you climbing up its arm to perch by its hood. Its hooded head swivels frantically, as though it can sense the texts you hold. You must remove your helmet to talk to it. Your breath is frost white. You cannot remain here long. You tell it all you can understand of your stolen scraps. The scrivener does not respond. As you are about to make your way back, it begins to whisper. It tells you the names of other servants born at the Forge of Souls. The scrivener's life ends before it can finish. Alright, a searing enigma is not a super easy thing to get a hold of. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that we're going to lose a little bit of terror as we approach Pan, but we're going to end up leaving Pan still having an awful lot. Well, we dealt with it last time we left. We can deal with it again. Maybe it'll be worth swinging past, or like heading over to Aklis and then moving up from there, because we could dump all of our terror at Aklis. I guess it'll depend somewhat on what we get prospect-wise. Also, I'm starting to worry a little bit that I waited too long, that we might actually run out of supplies before we reach it. Because Because we have to get all the way around this mass, and we don't know... This might be that same big piece of skyrock. Well, there's an archway we can pass under. Maybe the path will be more direct than I was afraid. It might be. I like to think that little hitch is the game having to load in all of the pleasant civilization-y graphics. Pan of the crimson mysteries, Pan of the pipe-haunted groves, Pan the dusky, delirious, divided heart of Eleutheria. Oh my, that's quite a big statue. What is this? We've definitely not been here before. Clocks are not welcome in Pan. Instead, the musical piping that emits from the adamant idol dictates the time. The devils of the Brazen Brigade interpret it and inform the city of the current hour and the activities associated with it. I feel like this is text that we read before, though, isn't it? A wise captain heeds the hour before setting foot in Pan. It is the hour of veracity, when the word-eaters are abroad. Twice, Eleutheria has been turned upside down by storytellers. Now the profession is prohibited in Pan. During the hour of veracity, the word-eaters bare their feet, cover their faces with ash, and roam the city, confiscating stories. We could take a sizable escort with us to do about our business, or we could simply avoid them using our very high veil skill. During the other hours, the word-eaters are everyday citizens of Pan, but when the piping permits, their faces are gray with ash. They serve only the halved son of Eleutheria. Well, I'm assuming from this that we would not lose our dozen crew. And we do have a 100% chance of success here. But if even some of them die, we could end up in a pretty harsh place. Maybe I ought to go myself and just avoid trouble. We're pretty good at avoiding trouble when we don't want to cause it intentionally. Not that good, apparently. It's no good. Pan's crowds teem with ash-faced word-eaters. They herd you into a tumbled temple, where one produces a copper hook, another a spindle. Afterwards, you stumble back out into the jumbled streets, your head empty of stories. Huh. That's pretty wild. We lost 800 experience. Okay, this is the Heartcatcher Gardens. This is definitely a different place. It has no shops, so we're still going to have to go to the main dock. The Mimyricon. The inner gardens are surrounded by a hedge as thick as a fortress wall, knotted with thorns and strangled with vines. I guess I should actually read all the text. A grizzled coterie of gardeners care for this unusual orchard. The plants that grow here are heart-catchers, whose fruit looks and speaks like human heads. Why would you grow that? What could possibly be the reason? And I think that's the statue that we observed a little bit of up there. So let's not go to the nurseries, because that sounds terrible. I guess let's head to the Mimyricon here. The inner gardens are surrounded by a hedge as thick as a fortress wall, knotted with thorns and strangled with vines. Behind it are the grove homes of the Heartcatchers, steeped in Eleutheria's midnight, and frequented only by their favored servants. Within the Mimyricon, the Heartcatchers are big as trees and clustered with mature heads. Each plant is a council of intellects, debating the secrets of the sky. That's very unsettling, man. Okay, well, we could try to seek entry. This is something we can only do if we've been in here before. An arch in the hedge leads inside. A dozen heads, gray-haired and bitter, peer from among the leaves. Which meaning of bitter do you think that is? Begone, the heads insist. You have not been chosen. You have not served. As far as you can tell, the whole hedge is the body of one vast, brambly heartcatcher. As you turn to leave, one of its heads whispers something, and then the others snigger. When you ask what was amusing, a hawk-nosed head apologizes. Sorry, we'll just never get used to how much your heads look like fruit. Yeah, that is weird. That's a weird thing. Alright, let's head to the nurseries then. A series of finely manicured indigo lawns cover this corner of Pan. Peculiar plants grow in the beds, tangled as rose bushes and budding with fruit. The fruit is lumpen. Perfectly formed facial features are growing on it. This one has a frantic staring eye. This one is growing an ear. This one keens pitiably through tiny trembling lips. Silent gardeners, whose broad-brimmed hats are hung with veils to hide their faces, tend devotedly to the plants. Well, we could trade Eleutherian mysteries for otherworldly artifacts, but I can't imagine why we would do that. Let us speak to a green-fingered old warhorse. He removes his hat. The face beneath is scarred and bleak. A soldier's face. I could see how being here would make you pretty bleak. He must occupy a senior position, but the other gardeners nod their heads as they pass him. Beneath his overalls he wears a rat-skin suit, ragged from the plant's playful thorns. There is a deadness to his gaze. I suspect the plants feel their thorns are more playful than the gardeners do. Hey buddy, what's up? What's your story? Judging from his military bearing, he was not always a gardener. No, once I was a soldier, and a commander of soldiers. I was good at it, as such things are measured. Now I keep the gardens, tend the heart-catchers, and pray that I have no further effect on the world at all. Another gardener passes you carrying a bucket. Kneeling by a bed full of budding heart-catchers, they tip the bucket over. The contents ooze redly onto the soil. You know, that's pretty much exactly what I was going to guess was in that bucket. Alright, let's ask about the petitioners. A number of desperate-looking people are lined at the hedgerow gate to the inner gardens. We are not the only person trying to get in. The heart-catchers know many secrets, he says. Among them is a method to capture a death and seal it away so it can't trouble you. If you fear a particular end, like drowning, say, or freezing, the heart-catchers could hide it away. He takes a cage of squirming mice from his pocket, fishes one out, and drops it into the thorny vines of the closest plant. The vines constrict. The mouse squeaks. The plant shivers. It's no guarantee of immortality, of course. 1,000 deaths await in the skies. Boy, that's a real thing that he just told us. A thing that I find difficult to believe. I totally believe that's a story that is told, and I totally believe that there are people who believe it, but no way, right? Also, who would settle for something like this? The Martyr King's Cup is going to protect us from everything. We don't need to worry about this nonsense. I am curious about the plants, though. What's the deal with these things? I mean, aside from the deals that we already know, that all of which are terrifying. They are a species native to the heavens, he observes. Here in the nurseries, we help the younger specimens grow to maturity before transferring them to the inner gardens, the Mimyricon. He indicates some colleagues who are digging up the largest plant in the garden and wrestling it into a cart while it tries, affectionately, to throttle them. You note its fruit, which are now big enough to resemble the faces of bawling cherubs. Once fully grown, the warhorse continues, their fruit can reason and speak and debate, more effectively than we even. Each plant is an entire council or faculty. That's pretty wild, man. I guess I would like to see what is going on in the inner garden, even if I don't necessarily believe that the heart-catchers can protect us from a method of dying. A hedge encloses it, an archway permits entrance, but is protected by the mature heart-catcher, whose cynical faces peer from the thicket. They excoriate intruders with insightful critique. Only friends of the heart-catchers may enter the Mimyricon, and successful petitioners, of course, but the latter are blindfolded. Perhaps if you performed a service for the heart-catchers, they would warm to you. Do I want to work for a bunch of plant faces? Doesn't seem great. We could whisper Eleutherian mysteries to the heart-catchers in exchange for an otherworldly artifact that maybe they would appreciate this. It's definitely a trade down for us. We could acquire a death. The heart-catchers capture deaths. Perhaps you could acquire one. Perhaps you could arrange for it to be altered. Perhaps it could become a death for someone of your choosing. That's an interesting idea. So we would need a cask of Navarretine gemstones. We do have one of these, by the way. I found one. I can't even remember where. I think it was during the off-camera time. where I was getting the sister all set up. But we totally have one of these in the bank. It's an interesting idea. We would have to pay experience for it. But I could totally see how something like that could be useful. We could prove our value to the Heartcatchers. You could, if you chose, and if you were prepared to dedicate yourself solely to them, to ally with the Heartcatchers. But you would have to prove your value. Be warned that if you do, you will not be able to ally with the Brazen Brigade or Winter's Reside. I think we maybe need a little bit more of an understanding of the political forces within Eleutheria before we go doing something like this. We could ask the Heartcatchers to capture certain deaths for us. Oh, it has been foretold that we will die in the sky. We did take that. This will remove the Bell Tolls facet and replace it with a unique one, a jar with your death in it. This increases mirrors and either hearts or veils, and your bohemian or villainy affiliation. It will not make you immortal, but it will protect you from that one particular death. And I know that I said that I didn't believe in this, but at the time I didn't remember that we had taken a facet of a prophesied death, a death that we had foreseen. You know, I don't believe in them. I don't believe in this nonsense, obviously. It's ridiculous. But maybe just in case. We'd have to bring them 7 Eleutherian mysteries. I mean, we have some port reports to turn in. We'll be back, is what I have to say to this. We will return. Let's go to the main dock. So, I wonder if there are other docks around here. Maybe we should explore this area a little bit more thoroughly. We did drop some terror there. That probably is the terror drop for returning to Pan. I'm not expecting to get another one for hitting the main dock. I do think, though, that we need to do that in a real hurry. I do not like seeing a 0 next to either of our bars. Okay. To the station. To... Shoot, how did we turn in our things here? Oh, there's a theater in the secluded grove. It's newly constructed, and they are rehearsing a play. An actor considers his script, coughs, and begins to recite. Brothers and sisters, the old order faces its destruction. Let us cheer our revolution. This Solaka... Who wrote this, anyway? Okay. We should probably go ahead and spend this mystery. I think that's worthwhile. Oh, it doesn't repair your hull for half of its maximum health. It repairs half of the amount that you're missing. Okay. Like everyone else here, the engineers want mysteries more than coins. You offer one that purchases several hours of perfunctory repairs, at the end of which the condition of your engine is at least somewhat improved. Afterwards, you split the mystery into a dozen morsels and dole them out among the avid engineers. That's good. Combining those into a single story will give them something to do. I would love to recruit new crew, and I know we're terrible at it, but... we need more bodies. Hey, we got 1. Okay, so... it must be that the Cypress King is the one who takes our port reports. Right, I remember this. Storytelling is forbidden in Pan, but, you know, there are some exceptions. In a private audience, the rules in Pan say that a story can be told only to one other person. You reveal your information to the king. In turn, they hint at Eleutheria's boundless secrets, to the reason the sun darkened, the nature of the war that was once fought here, to the ancient duties of the grievers and departed that now haunt the wilds. Yeah, it turns out we know a lot more about Eleutheria than we once did, but we still have a lot of questions. And we can exchange scraps of knowledge for more mysteries, which I think is probably a good idea. Because we are going to need quite a few, it turns out. We now have 7. The king leans close, in case of eavesdroppers among the trees. Once, it is said, there was a great library where the sons kept records of their laws. But disaster struck, and the library was destroyed and strewn across the sky. Now its librarians seek its ruins and texts. We call them scribe spinsters. Yo, that makes actually, like, a ton of sense. I was very curious about the nature of the scribe spinsters, but this adds up to me. The king reveals such information as they can translate from the fragments you have brought. Okay, well, we're now at 7 mysteries, which was the number that we needed. And we know how to leave. It's just a matter of actually finding the place. Okay. Stuff to Aklis. A special prospect. An urchin from Aklis is selling seeds from their new garden. Most of them we sell to the mausoleum, they tell you. Can't get enough of them there. More than we can supply, if you get my meaning. The mausoleum lies to the south-southeast of London. This is marked as special. We're definitely taking both of them. There's no reason not to. But I'm pretty bummed out that this is not a prospect that is pointing us to any new ports. Well, we were talking about going to Aklis anyway, right? So, have we nothing else to do here? I really don't think we do. Okay. Let's go to the night market, refill on fuel and supplies, and figure out what exactly we want to take out into the sky with us. I might even go one higher on supplies, again, so that we can be aggressive with the scout. Alright. What do we need? We have stuff to drop off. We need to deliver 7 seeds. So, this is a special prospect. Do these have to be special seeds from Aklis, or can we use any seeds for this? I guess we're going there either way. It doesn't really matter. Alright, let's just dump a bunch of stuff into the bank. We gotta bring 5 caddies of tea with us, which we just barely have. So we probably don't need to sell anything else. This is going to be quite a bit of money. It'll certainly be enough money to run the next leg of the trip. And our stats really haven't changed, so we're not qualified to bring any new stuff aboard. I think we're probably good with this. Oh, right. The ambition. Sorry, this is not what I want. I want the port. The King's Idle Station. Okay, yeah, we know this part, and we do... Oh, we only needed 1 Savage Secret for this, and 3 Tales of Terror. Alright, this guy's going to tell us about the Cloak of the Lion. Let us confess our sins. No one is without sin, child, says the hermit when you have finished, dipping his hand into the stream and letting the water flow between his fingers. I offer you forgiveness. He touches your forehead with wet fingertips and traces an elaborate symbol. You feel a sudden lightness of heart. Follow me. I will guide you to the cloak. We'll need a searing enigma in order to cross the Falchian Bridge in Pan, or alternatively a strong stomach to cross the narrow beam. Well, it turns out we have plenty of searing enigmas. And hey, that lowered my terror. You follow the shuffling hermit up a hillside, your boots sinking into the mud. Thunder rumbles. Lightning splits the sky. At the hilltop, you find yourself standing beside a gorge so deep you cannot see the bottom. It's far too wide to leap. The only crossing point is a bridge. The cloak lies across the Falchian Bridge, says the hermit. Only a worthy quester may cross without slicing himself in two. Okay. We could just cross. But I really want to know what is actually happening here. We're all sunk into our weird illusions. Let's try to shake things off a little bit. We are sometimes good at this. Unpuzzled. As you bombard the hermit with questions, you realize that Pan only has 1 moon, the pinprick distant light of the Xanthus, and you are not a knight. More importantly, you realize that you are addressing your questions to a small stray cat, which stares at you with amiable feline bafflement. It is just you and the tiny white cat, sitting together at the very topmost of a ruined tower, overgrown by ivy and moss. You're hundreds of feet above the forest, standing not at the edge of a gorge, but at a part of the tower where the wall has crumbled away entirely. A little closer to regaining our grip on reality. The walls have crumbled away at the tower's top. A scything wind scours your flesh. The cat shivers by your side. What are you doing up here, cat? The other tower lies far across from you, and you can see a bundle of cloth tangled in a weather vane. Could that be the cloak? Unfortunately, the only way to cross from this tower to the other is a narrow wooden beam half-rotted, sagging with damp. The forest floor is hundreds of feet below. If we attempt and fail this challenge, we will fail the ambition. I think we're going to need to sort of close our eyes, in a manner of speaking, and sink back into the dream visions, because I know we can cross this over there. It is probably the case that whatever force is driving us to the Martyr King's Cup wants us to sink into the fantasy and not come back. I am very concerned that living on the other side of this line is going to result in the Martyr King's Cup possessing us more than we possess it. If we live eternally, maybe that's an okay trade-off, but I would prefer that it not happen. So, we're going to try to very carefully navigate this line over and over again. At this moment, it's better to be on this side. You gaze into the sky, hoping to see the moon. When that doesn't work, you sit instead and revisit a tried and tested technique. You build a painstaking image of the cup inside your head, and focus on it furiously. A few moments later, you stand in one fluid motion, your sword at your hip, and buckle your armor tight around your waist. Alright, look straight ahead, a burning idea in your head. Just focus on something else, something that is not looking down. Stare straight ahead, do not look down, one foot in front of the other. Ignore the lightning which flashes past so close it singes your eyelashes. Do not look down. Ignore the driving rain. Do not look down, because if you look down you will see that you are walking on a literal knife edge, and you will feel its bite. You are ablaze inside. You are focusing so furiously that you do not quite realize you've crossed until your boots sink in the mud. You face the sky, and the rain is the best thing you've ever tasted. Absolutely terrifying. Alright. In order to retrieve the cloak, we will need to pay tribute before the great antlers at Pan, or, alternatively, somehow collect it from the precarious weathervane. You know, whichever one of those seems best. Across the Falchian Bridge, a pair of enormous antlers rise like totems from the mud. They are easily 3 times as tall as you. Tangled at their tip is a bundle of cloth, the cloak of the lion. But the antlers are impossible to climb. They burn your fingers at the touch, as though made of flame. With dread certainty, you know what must be done. An offering must be made. A tribute of the finest souls, a tribute of whispered implication, oh man! Or a tribute of your own knights' lives. They will offer themselves willingly, of course. Okay. Leave for now, you'll be able to return at any time. We can go get a selection of Immaculate Souls. We have some in the bank. So let's just grab those real quick. Yeah, you can see, we did get a cask of gemstones. These have become a little bit more common, it feels like. It is nice of them to let us return at any time. Okay, a tribute of the finest souls. With a rumbling and a churning, the antlers rise, and the mud surges beneath them. A beast erupts from the earth, soil cascading from its flanks. A gargantuan lion, antlers branching from its regal brow. It surveys you for a long moment with pitiless golden eyes, then dips its head, allowing you to reach forward and pull the tangled cloak from its horns. Boy, I wish I knew what this looked like from the other side of that line. Okay, we are needed back in London. Well, yet another reason that it would be great if we could figure out how to leave. Okay, so, I see that we've hit the hour. Let's end the episode in Aklis, though. For a couple of reasons. First of all, I definitely want to go back and have our death bottled away. You know, better safe than sorry. Why not try it? At the very least, it'll be a good story that we can tell. Sister Patel continues to try to convince herself that she doesn't believe. I'll be honest with you though, I don't believe in this kind of mumbo jumbo either. But if somebody was like, hey, I can definitely bottle away that death that you saw for yourself, I totally would be like, yeah, what's the harm? Why not? Okay. Ask the Heartcatchers to capture your prophesied death in the sky. You have been cursed with a foretelling of your likely death. But if you are prepared to pay the Heartcatchers' price, they will catch that death in a jar for safekeeping. The process is not gentle. You are entombed for 3 days and nights amidst the Heartcatcher's roots. Okay, this is about where I would be like, you know what? No, I totally don't believe in this stuff. You eat nothing, drink only droplets of dew, and dream of ways to die. Afterwards, the green-fingered old warhorse digs you up and hands you a jar sealed with wax and wire. Your death is trapped inside. That is insane. Now you have it, what will you do with it? Bury it deep, preserving some of the veils that we gained from Abel tolls and increasing our villainous affiliations, or keep it on your bedside cabinet. A death is a dangerous thing to keep nearby. You know what? I think it is convenient that increasing our bohemian affiliations is something I want to do, because I do think that this makes more sense for our character. Increasing our hearts is not something we're super into, but definitely want to keep an eye on it. Occasionally, you could take it out and contemplate your mortality. It also makes an excellent conversation starter. Poets and artists in particular are terribly impressed. So we lost 5 veils but gained 2 mirrors and 3 hearts. What a strange experience. What a strange series of experiences we've had over the last couple of episodes, huh? Alright. Let's head to Aklis. That'll allow us to dump the rest of our terror pretty easily and get some of these prospects going. We'll try to go this way. We can reveal a little bit more map. See some things we haven't seen. We still have no idea where the Eagle's Empyrean is, and we don't even have any way to ask that question. Well, another station. Suppose it's a pretty good thing we went this way, then. Winters reside. A single street cuts through the groves. Its houses an immaculate copy of London architecture. 3 of the revolutionaries' governing calendar council live here. February, January, and ineffable December. Well, we should probably amend this text a little bit. Maybe it's the case that nobody knows what happened to February yet. Corncrake House. The Georgian house is 3 stories high, with silhouettes at every window. Some pace, others gesticulate, others have their heads close, perhaps conspiring. The building is rammed to the gunwales with revolutionaries. Light pours from the open front door. The doorwoman is slight and no real obstacle, but a continuous trickle of revolutionaries passes her, some burlier than your strongest stoker. If she wanted to refuse entry, she'd be able to enforce it. So, if we had done the revolutionaries a service, we could be, we could be allowed in here to do something interesting. Alright, let's see if there is, perhaps, a service that could be done. I think we're pretty pro-revolutionary, right? The street nestles amidst the ruins and trees of Pan, one end abutting an overgrown grove. Revolutionaries with secateurs wage continual war, rebuffing vines, attempting to claim the cobbles. The Georgian houses are well kept and cleaner than they ever were in London, but only one is lit up. It is the focus of the activity here. Outside it, revolutionaries trade, compare wounds, and practice tirades. Their home here offers them solace and restoration before the next battle. We can mingle with these revolutionaries. You can speak freely here. Or they can speak freely here. This could gain us all kinds of interesting stuff. This pair of revolutionaries are engaged in vigorous debate. One calls the xenophilic youth over to break the deadlock. The other waves him away. He can't join us. He has to hear the story separately. What? You actually obey that law? Why? There's a grimace, but no adequate response. I would be nervous. We could negotiate for a captivating treasure. The xenophilic youth will act as intermediary. Revolutionaries will trade with him, and so, by extension, you. This will cost a point of hearts and iron, among other things. Were you initiated into Winter's Reside, the price would be less painful. So it will cost hearts and iron, and some gossip, and some sky stories, and apparently it will damage our train? Huh. Let's not worry about that just yet. We could join the revolutionaries with 3 mysteries. I'm sure that would get us in a little bit. Okay, something to think about, I suppose. Not a decision we would make right now, even if we had the mysteries necessary to make it. We're going to lock ourselves out of some things. We got to be careful, make sure we take the measure of what exactly those things are. So it's pretty much just straight east from here? No, not exactly. Also, we probably ought to go visit... I'm assuming this is going to be another... Oh no, it is not a cave at all. In fact, it looks like eels. I feel like we haven't seen a cloud of eels in a really long time. The canning equipment is not great. It's nice that it has 4 points of hold attached to it, though. So especially with that extra point of supplies, we can afford to be pretty aggressive with the scout. Discover if there's anything that we've missed around here. Also, I've been noticed by something, I think. Wow, the thing it found was... It almost seems like the scout aggressively looks in the direction you're not currently facing. Alright, try again, buddy. Maybe something a little closer to the path we're intending to tread. Oh, okay, well... It's not really where I was planning to go, but you know what? Sure. We can uncover an awful lot of sky by going there and then going to Caduceus from there. Or, Aklis, rather. Right, I'm facing more or less the right direction. Oh, jeez. Maybe I shouldn't have just fired? This is, very scary. I do not want to be by this anymore. Okay, that dealt actual damage to us. Usually those, in the past, explosions that look like that have merely dealt terror. Well, it seems to be gone. That was unpleasant, though. There's some things happening here that we still don't really understand. Okay, well, I think here we're definitely just grabbing a mystery. Not too worried about the cost of the terror. We'll clear all that soon enough anyway. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was, but I did not care for it. It didn't do too much damage. I can't wait until we have the stats necessary to equip that better plating. Was that 75 veils? I think that was something we were close to. It might have been 75 iron. I sort of wish that once you had enough money, you could maybe hire a secondary crew and a secondary locomotive. Just buy a second locomotive to come along with you. Become more of an admiral than a captain. I don't know that we would actually have enough money to be able to afford a good locomotive, but we have enough stuff that we could sell. We could certainly try to get there. Seems like the Rat Brigade knows a little something about this place. Maybe it might be worth asking him. I guess let's see. I don't think this is actually going to do anything. Spend a little time with him. Okay, yeah. Nothing new. It would have been neat, though, if that had actually, been a mechanical prompt. Alright, we're not actually going to do much at Aklis, because the episode's gotten pretty long. But I did want to swing in here. Oh, that distant bellow tells you there's another battle taking place at the monastery gates. It would be easy enough to ignore it, but both sides would likely be grateful for assistance. I am very curious what's going on in the monastery. Yeah, let's help the attackers. Ah, that sucks. 70%, right? Your crew balks at shooting at children, but has little problem scaring the ring breakers with a few carefully aimed shots above their heads. Sigrid calls for retreat and they scamper away, leaving the attackers to continue their assault against the monastery walls. Later, a clay man appears, bearing a tobacco-stained gift from a friend. What could it be? A little gossip. A sheaf of letters falls from a concealed compartment. Pages are rife with scandal. A patrol is just leaving. You're welcome to join it. Oh, hold on a moment. So we are... Oh. They are also selling tea here. That's strange. Okay, well, I'll buy all this tea, and then I'll just sell it right there. Ooh, a savage secret. Amberly Murgatroyd's assistant looks irritable as she digs through the tea with her hands. I don't understand. Where are the microfilms, the manila folders? She sighs. Never mind, we'll sell it anyway, I'm sure. Okay. We certainly learned something about this place. Alright, I think we will continue our business in Aklis and then head north into the unforgiving wilderness and hopefully find something a little less terrifying than the last new thing we saw tomorrow, when you are, of course, invited to join us. So thank you all so much for watching. And the thing I just said is the middle part of the outro. Listen, I've only been doing this for several years. Why would I be any good at it yet? Come back tomorrow. We'll see you then.